how normally the separation between two aircraft is maintained? Ground-based air traffic control is primarily responsible for separation between two aircraft to avoid any mid-air collisions. Separation includes two components. One is range. The distance between two aircraft, and the other is altitude difference. Let's take an example of two aircraft, Aircraft X and Aircraft Y. Both are descending to land. Air Traffic Control, ATC Ground, asks Aircraft X to continue at an altitude of 4,000 feet and maintain a speed of 300 miles per hour. ATC advises Aircraft Y to maintain 280 miles per hour speed and descend to 4,000 feet. In this scenario, both the aircraft are at the same altitude of 4,000 feet but separated horizontally at some point. However, for some reason, Aircraft X is flying very slow at 220 miles per hour instead of 300 miles per hour, and Aircraft Y is flying at 350 miles per hour instead of 280 miles per hour. Now, the planned separation by ATC ground station is not maintained. Crashes and accidents from the past taught us that we need a backup system independent of ground-based ATC to alert the pilots. Explain Airborne Collision Avoidance System. To avoid any unexpected collision chances, Airborne Collision Avoidance System, ACAS, was necessitated by authorities. Main functions of the ACAS are carry out surveillance of the airspace to a certain distance for both range and altitude, identify threats, alert pilots by issuing advisories in the cockpit, and recommend immediate actions. ACAS contains a group of devices: TCAS control panel in the cockpit, transponder, mode S, TCAS, antennas and advisory displays. Let's see how each function of ACAS is achieved. Surveillance: your aircraft sends out interrogation signals and receives interrogations from other aircraft nearby. Interrogation means requesting information about the aircraft. When you receive a request, your aircraft sends out the data and also receives nearby aircraft data. Depending on the transponder type installed, the information exchanged varies. Mode A transponders only exchange a 4-digit code, only informing that there is an aircraft nearby. Mode C transponders exchange altitude information in addition to the identity. Mode S transponders exchange a unique 24-bit address, altitude, speed, heading, and many other advanced information about precise location. Identifying threats. When the interrogation response is received, the TCAS processor determines whether the nearby aircraft is a threat. Based on the data received, TCAS calculates the closest point of approach, or the point of collision, CPA. After calculating the collision point, it calculates the time at the current rate to reach the CPA. Depending on the time to reach the CPA, TCAS generates two advisories in the cockpit. One, traffic advisory, which is a caution about a potential threat. Two, resolution advisory, which is a warning that there is an imminent threat, and the pilot needs to follow the instruction to resolve the conflict. Resolution advisory can be further divided into two. First, corrective advisories, which instruct the pilot to deviate from the current flight path. For example, climb when the aircraft is in level flight. Second, preventive advisories, which advise the pilot to maintain or avoid certain vertical speeds. For example, don't climb when the aircraft is in level flight. Resolution advisory, or RA, is preceded by a traffic advisory. However, a sudden and sharp maneuver by the intruder could cause the RA without being preceded by a TA. In general, the traffic advisory is issued when the CPA is within 20 to 48 seconds, and the resolution advisory is issued when the CPA is within 15 to 35 seconds of reach. How are the traffic and resolution advisories displayed in the cockpit? An unfilled diamond shape indicates other traffic, colored white or cyan. It is non-threat traffic. A filled diamond shape indicates proximate traffic, also colored white or cyan. It is non-threat traffic within 6 nautical miles and 120 feet above or below. A filled circle in yellow or amber color indicates a traffic advisory. This identifies the intruder, who is the reason for the traffic advisory. A filled square in red color indicates a resolution advisory. This identifies the intruder, who is the reason for the resolution advisory. In addition to the color and symbol, A number and sign are also indicated nearby. For example, if there is a +10 and a downward arrow, it means there is an aircraft 1,000 feet above and descending. If there is a +15 and an upward arrow, it means that there is an aircraft 1,500 feet above and climbing. If there is a -8 without any arrow, this means there is an aircraft 800 feet below and level. As you can see, there is also an additional range marking of 2 nautical miles to provide pilots with situational awareness. Since RA requires immediate pilot actions, commonly displayed actions for pilots are vertical speed to fly or avoid range and pitch angle to fly or avoid range. When there is a trigger of Traffic or Resolution Advisory, it is accompanied by an oral or voice alert. As soon as the RA is issued, it is the pilot's responsibility to immediately act and carry out the maneuver recommended. If there is a conflict between ATC instructions and what is provided in the RA, pilots must follow the RA instruction. Responsibility of ATC and pilots in maintaining separation. As you can see, the table explains when and how the separation responsibility is assigned. Always, ATC is primarily responsible for maintaining separation. ACAS works as a backup and last resort of protection, and it is independent of ground functions. How do mid-air collisions happen? In the year 1996, Saudi Arabian Airlines and Kazakhstan Airlines aircraft collided in the Indian airspace, killing 349 people. It was a case of simple miscommunication. ATC cleared Saudi Arabian Airlines to climb to 14,000 feet, and at the same time asked Kazakhstan airline aircraft to descend to 15,000 feet. At this point, both aircraft were in opposite directions in the same airspace. The investigation revealed that the reason behind the collision was that the Kazakhstan aircraft descended below 14,000 feet, whereas the instruction given to them was to maintain 15,000 feet. The two aircraft collided, with the left wing of the Kazakh flight slicing through the left wing of the Saudi 747. It was a time when there was no ACAS as we have today. However, with the TCAS technology in place today, how did the American Eagle collision happen? The collision between the American Eagle aircraft and the helicopter happened with the ACAS system installed. Going through the explanations above, did the pilot get a resolution advisory, or RA, and fail to perform the actions instructed? No, the fact is that the collision happened below 1,000 feet and there was no resolution advisory issued. It is by the design of the ACAS system that below 1,000 feet, TCAS will switch to traffic advisory only mode, which doesn't require pilot action. There will be no resolution advisory, or RA, issued below 1,000 feet by design. This could be a collision that will bring new changes to how the ACAS works.